What's going on, guys? Welcome to August episode of Plus Club, the show where we play the games offered on PlayStation Plus throughout the month, and at the end of the month we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me today, of course, is Chevy. Chevy, how you doing? We haven't been doing a whole lot of long form lately. Hopefully that'll be changing soon. How you been? And are you excited to talk about Lies of P, DayZ, and My Hero 1's Justice 2, the games we played in August, and also find out what we'll be playing in September?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Holiday weekend, so a little extra time to just kind of lounge, which has been nice.
Fucking need it.
And then we got a trip coming up soon, so looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, I also need that.
As far as the games themselves, touched up on one of them today because it was the only one I wasn't like super confident about talking about. So it should be good to go on all that. And then looking forward to I'd probably say all of next month, to be honest. So
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that in a sec. Glad you're doing good. I'm doing well as well, and excited to do some long form stuff. I've just been doing a lot of short form lately. So, let's find out what we're gonna play in September though. And those games are Psychonauts 2, Stardew Valley, and Viewfinder. I feel like Stardew Valley should have came out a long time ago on PlayStation Plus. I'm surprised to see it this far into its life cycle, but here it is. How are we feeling about these games?
well, I've never played Psychonauts in general, so
I'm pretty sure you did, because I've never played Psychonauts until we played it on PlayStation Plus.
well, if we did, I do not remember it. So I mean, I'm curious to play that. Obviously, I've never purchased it. You kind of showed me a little bit of what Viewfinder is. I'm intrigued to see. Every once in a while, those kind of games do it for me. Most of the time, they don't. So we'll kind of see.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know what Viewfinder is, it is seemingly a walking puzzle game with adventure game with like a camera. Use a camera in different perspectives to take pictures, and then use what you took in that picture to kind of get around the location that you're in. So it looks really trippy.
Yeah, and I don't think this one's going to be a big secret to a lot of people if they've watched the channel, but I have played a lot of Stardew Valley. So, though I've played very little of it on console, so that'll be interesting.
I've never played on console.
Played on Switch a little bit, so. But yeah.
Yeah, I am actually really interested to try out Psychonauts 2 because I was never into Psychonauts until we played it for the channel, in which I played it then, and I was like, this actually isn't so bad. I kind of get why this has a cult following. Sadly, I had no idea this came out, and apparently it came out like years ago. So their advertising didn't do very well, I guess. But I'm interested in checking out what they did with this. Double Fine always makes interesting games, so that should be cool. Stardew Valley I've played in the past. I played a little bit back before it didn't have multiplayer, and then I played it a little bit when the multiplayer came out. I know a lot of things have happened since then, but basically that's where I'm coming from when it comes to this. I've never played it on console, so this will be an interesting reintroduction to the game on a console. So we can do multiplayer, right?
I believe console
it's got like co-op and shit. Okay, yeah. So definitely we'll be doing that. Looking forward to seeing if it's different than what I remember or the same or whatever. And then Viewfinder looks interesting to me as well. It's photography stuff. I'm into photography, so that's pretty cool. But also it's like super trippy, and you're doing like crazy puzzle stuff in creative ways. So I always kind of enjoy those games, the journey, the experience of them, and looking forward to playing all three of these honestly. So. Pretty good looking month. I am interested. Anything else? All right, let us know in the comments what do you guys think about these games coming up. I believe this Tuesday, coming out soon, and I guess in a day. Which ones are you looking forward to the most? And maybe there's something you wish they would release on PlayStation Plus that they haven't yet. Let us know what you think in the comments below. All right, so the games we played in August were Lies of P, DayZ, and My Hero 1's Justice 2. I feel like we should probably start with DayZ.
Okay.
If you didn't get a chance to play DayZ, DayZ is probably one of the most famous survival multiplayer games out there. In it, you either play in first or third person, depending on the server you're in. It's an online game. You can play with people or against them in PvP scenarios. It is a survival game in the most strictest sense. You basically scavenge around a landscape, Chernarus, and look for anything you can to survive. You have to battle against zombies, other players, infection, viruses, starvation, weather, all sorts of stuff trying to kill you. And yeah, the map has randomly placed food, medicines, weapons, clothes that can get damp and you have to change them out or dry them. All sorts of hazards that can kill you easily. We both played it, and let's start off with your impressions of DayZ. I believe this is your first time playing it in August.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen this game, multiple times throughout the years, starting with the mod and then moving on to the standalone. And I've always had an interest in it because I like survival games, but I don't like PvP. So it's been really hard for me to feel compelled to play the game without doing a private server, because I basically wanted to know or be able to have a chance to like figure out the game and stuff like that. I know when the game first came out, that was probably less of a thing that was easy for us to do at this point. At this point, like I've rented so many servers and stuff like that. It's just been a lot easier to do that kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
Both just in the fact that, I'm older and a little more comfortable with my finances as well. So, that being said, I knew the game was technical, but I didn't really have hands-on experience. So it was really interesting getting a first try on console for this game. I am happy to say the game plays very well on console. So
I was surprised by that.
That was nice to see. I mean, I have my personal gripes, which is, I don't like aiming with a controller, and that's not the game's fault. That's a me thing. And for how complicated I expected the UI to be, because I knew you could do a lot in this game, they somehow managed to make it work in a way that was not completely frustrating. So
yeah, it's a very over encumbered UI, but once you learn it makes sense for what you can do with a controller. Yeah. It is so much better on PC because you have a mouse that you can just click around and do stuff. But I think it is definitely usable on console, and it makes sense, but it does feel like there's a lot going on. You have to use basically the L1 and R1 buttons to swap different windows, and then from there navigate with the D-pad, and to find like menus and stuff. You have to like highlight things, and you have to use the D-pad and stuff. And it's like it's not like super intricate, but it is a little more involved.
There's just a lot more button presses to do things versus like on keyboard and mouse, you can just like literally drag things with the mouse. So that being said, for the limitations that the controller provides for this game, not controllers in general, but this game was definitely made for PC originally.
Oh yeah.
They handled it very well, I would say. So I honestly could not think of a way for them to improve it, because there's a lot of options you can do in that game. So
I honestly was thinking about that when we were playing. I was like, man, this is like, it works, but it's like there's a lot going on here. But then I was like, how would you make this better? And I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I was like, this works. So I'm not too worried about trying to find a way to improve it. I'm sure you could, but it's functional. So
yeah. As far as like learning the game systems and stuff like that, it was a bit of trial and error and a bit of Seth's prior knowledge with the game, being able to ask questions and stuff like that. So I did have that going for me, though. If I'm not mistaken, you were kind of rusty on it, so you kind of were remembering as well.
You had a lot of stuff I knew, and a lot of vague things I slightly remembered, and then some things have been added since the last time I played DayZ.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some stuff I had to catch up on as well.
So from I guess a perspective of someone who's never played the game before, I knew, vaguely how the game worked, though experiencing the map firsthand, it's a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be. It's a very large map, which is probably a good thing if you can have a server full of people, so that you're not nonstop running into people. You got to be able to have a chance to, play the survival part as well. especially when the game has done a good job of like making resources more abundant in places that would have been more populated. So it becomes more of a attractive place to go look for stuff. But then also, if you're looking for people, if you'd prefer to like take from them instead of trying to scavenge yourself, it would also be, you know, a good place to go. It kind of reminds me of like the watering hole in nature, you know, the herbivores and stuff like that. They go to water, and the carnivores go to water because they need water as well, but they know that's where the food is. So same idea.
Yep.
So the detail in the game, like in the way it functions, I am very impressed with. I actually really like the amount of information that the game will give you too. As an example, right? You can find fruit trees everywhere, and the fruit will fall off and it'll be on the ground or whatever. And you can like pick it up, and it could be like in pristine condition and visually, and then also be a healthy apple. But it could also be a pristine looking apple and be rotten on the inside, or it could be beat up on the outside and a good apple still. And there's just so many variables of that, and that information is there. But if you're not paying attention, like I didn't, with my first actual play of the game, I ate a bunch of food and I started puking everywhere because I got food poisoning. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. And then of course that makes you lose water faster, and so you're sitting there chugging a bunch of water, but you don't start with water, so you have to find water, and then you have to worry about drinking contaminated water, and there's just a lot of stuff there. And so
You also have to eat to keep your nutrients up, but
Yeah.
you're also puking because your stomach's upset, so you're puking out the food you're eating. But if you don't eat, you're gonna starve, and it's gonna make your sickness worse. So like that, yeah, there's a lot of things going on there. And then also another thing that's kind of interesting when it comes to rotten food is you can actually, if you eat it slowly, you have less of a chance to get sick from it. So like if you like just take a bite from it and just kind of let your body
deal with it.
yeah, but if you like overload your system by eating a bunch of rotten shit,
Yeah.
just like in real life, like you eat a little bit of something that was off, you're gonna have like a stomach ache. But if you eat like a bunch of it, you're gonna get food
Yeah,
poisoning.
your body's gonna be like, get it out.
Be in bed for fucking 2 days or in the bathroom.
Yeah. And it's represented very well in the game. I was pretty impressed by that. I think the game is it is very technical, but I don't think they went so ham that like it doesn't feel like a video game still. I think they got a good balance, because I do think it would drive me nuts if I had to micromanage constantly every little thing. It is still very gamified. It just has a lot of steps, and I personally like it. I could see it being troublesome for some people though.
Sure. It is the perfect balance of being like hardcore survival without being too crazy, because I've played survival games where like you had to worry about like your macronutrients of carbs and proteins and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, it's too much.
I'm not. This isn't a video game anymore. This is just like, you better go find some berries. You need that.
It is
I'm
real
like,
life now.
yeah, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
And I appreciate that someone would even make something like that. But yeah, I definitely am still trying to play a video game. So, and I like that aspect of this. I also like that I like and dislike the way the zombies work in the game. I like it because like, you know, they do kind of, they're kind of stupid, right? Like, and they're just brain dead corpses walking around, right? But they also can be quite terrifying when all of a sudden like a bunch of them spot you, and then like you go in a building and you can't close the door fast enough because you suck with a controller, and then you're just sitting there fighting in a hallway. So I think they did pretty good on that.
They're easy to understand and predict and work around, but because they are a random variable, specifically when you're playing with other people on PvP, they become like just a hazard in situations.
Yeah.
You fire your gun, they come running, all that stuff. But even when we were playing just me and you, there were situations where like things can get unmanageable, and all of a sudden you need to like just run and try to like get away from the threat. So yeah.
And on the playing on console, because during this month we played on console for a pretty long time, I'd say.
Oh yeah, we put some time into it.
And then I wanted to see how it played on PC, so I went ahead and I switched the server over to a PC server, and we played a little bit more there. But when we were playing on console, I had gotten into way too many fights with zombies, had gotten wounded a few times, and then one of those times the wound became infected and would not would not heal up. And so I got to a point where my character very, very slowly was just running out of energy and essentially dying.
Yeah, it's a slow progression because like you had said that your guy was like puking before we got to a military camp, and then on the way into the military camp, you guys started making like noises and stuff because he's like getting hurt or something.
He was exhausted from being feverish.
Yeah, I just remember we're running towards. I heard you guys start making noises, and you're like, my guy's doing this thing," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll go into the base. You like just hang out."
Yeah, I was coughing a lot. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
So you're making noise, and I'm like, that's not good. There's like something changing with you.
Yeah.
And then we went through. I found like some military coats and stuff, much better than what we had. But then like on the way out of there, we had gotten into a scuffle with a random situation where I'd shot a zombie. Which brought more zombies, and then you got surrounded by like 3 or 4 of them, and we had to like run into a house, try to like get them off of us. By the time we had got that all figured out, and we started going back down the railroad tracks, I like looked behind me, and I was running normal speed, I wasn't full on sprinting.
Yeah.
And like I looked behind me, and you're just kind of like stumbling down the railroad tracks, and I'm like, is that as fast as you can run? And you're like, I'm not pressing the wrong run button. I'm like, I'm not either, but I'm like losing you. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess this is how fast I move now.
The guy
I'm
was like dragging his feet. Basically.
I was like, that's not good. So, yeah, your guy was just fucking dying.
Well, and it's funny because as we started getting close to civilization, quote unquote civilization again, it's just in the middle of the road. All of a sudden, my screen went black, and I was like, "You are dead."
Yeah, death comes quick.
So I just fucking died from fever, basically. So,
At least you just died instantly, though, because like it's annoying in that game when you have something wrong with you that's knocking you out, because you'll just like pass out and your screen's black, and then every once in a while you'll kind of see some stuff, and you'll go back to black or whatever, and like when that's happening, you're like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm not dead.
I do also think it's fun that the game does plays with different like visual representations things too. It's like, so you're talking about passing out and like your eyes slowly opening and stuff like that. Those visual effects are there, but that also includes things like you put on like a bike helmet, and because like the way the visor works, there'll be like a black like half
vignette
circle at the top and the bottom. Yeah. Or if you put on glasses, I had some red sunglasses on for a while, and everything was like slightly red. I was like,
yeah, I'd found some like military ones that were yellow, and it just kind of brightened up everything with the yellow tint. So yeah.
So they really kind of played around with like everything has like something going on with it.
The thing that's really cool with DayZ's development, because I used to play back when it was a mod before the standalone even existed. I fucking spent a lot of time in that game. And that was like a work in progress. At first, it was just like they took Arma maps, put zombies on it, and then started putting some items in there, and it kind of evolved slowly. But then when they made the standalone, it wasn't as good as the mod. It had like better graphics, but it had like less features, less stuff going on. But then over the years, like they really implemented a lot of shit. Even like all the animations and stuff were like way better. Being able to vault over stuff, being able to climb walls, being able to see that your guy was like, there's something wrong with him, the way he's running and stuff like that. Like those are all features that were added over time, where you can just, now that the game's been out for this long, really see kind of the fruits of all that labor of like all the little details they implemented. I still remember when they implemented being able to dig up worms out of the ground. If you have a knife, being able to cut bark off of a tree to use as fuel and kindling. If you can't cut a tree down because you don't have an axe. All these like little systems that they kept adding, and like it's just kind of crazy to kind of see it now.
Well, that also kind of you bringing up the kindling thing. It reminds me that there are interactable objects in the world, whether it be like a furnace, a fireplace, a car, a boat, whatever. And if you interact with those, you get this interface that basically is like, here's the storage space, here's the engine parts, here's the fuel parts, and you can actually like find all those things. And so
spark plug engine,
and they can have varying degrees of like quality to them, right? So they could be busted, they could be breaking. At one point we did have a car,
very briefly.
Yeah, it broke down real quick and was smoking everywhere. We just kind of went for a couple days to go look for resources, and all of a sudden we heard a huge explosion in the distance.
Yeah, so we found a vehicle was in really good shape, except for 2 or 3 of the tires were damaged, but one of them was pristine. It had an engine, it had no fuel. So we found a jerry can, put fuel in it. We're able to start up the car, and while we're driving, it seemed fine, but if I drove too fast, it started making a weird fucking noise, and I'm like, I don't like that, so I tried to drive slow, and we drove into town, and I was like, I'm just gonna park the car here. As we're driving in, there's smoke billowing out of the car. I'm like, something's wrong with the car. I stop the car, you get out, and then the car's just full of smoke, and I'm like, am I gonna suffocate in here? So I got out of the fucking, because this game has shit like that. I'm like, I get out of the car, and it just smoke's just flying out of the car. I'm like, that's not good. So I shut everything down, and then we went off literally for a couple days in the city. And yeah, it was like the middle of the night. We're in some building, like scavenging around. We hear like a just a huge explosion.
It was loud, yeah.
And at first, like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
And then like we kind of were talking for a second. I'm like, unless it was the car, I'm like, oh shit, that's what it was, guaranteed. Like nothing else would have exploded. But that car was smoking and probably was just smoking for days and then exploded. So yeah. And then when we went back, the car was gone. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just kind of crazy because like I had completely forgotten about the car because we were too busy like scavenging, for stuff. So, also the game just lets you use all sorts of stuff as like tools, but they could also be used as weapons. Like if you can put it in your hand, you can basically swing it at people or zombies, which is kind of crazy. And then the attention to detail of like, when we were playing on the PC, you had found a belt that had a holster, but you couldn't put like a kitchen knife in it, but you could put a steak knife in it because the kitchen knife was too big. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy the amount of like little details that are in the game.
Well, to the point of like, if you find a gun without a magazine, you can still use that gun, but you have to put individual rounds into the chamber.
Yeah.
But then you can find a magazine with bullets, and then you fire that thing off, and then if you find more bullets or another magazine of like different damage degrees, whether it's pristine or it's like a shitty magazine, you can take those individual bullets out of that magazine, put it in this magazine, or if you find loose ammo, put that in your magazine. But even if you don't have the magazine, you can still fire individual bullets. So like there's all these like little details, and you have to have everything in your hand to do it.
Yeah.
Which at first I didn't think about, but I'm like, I guess that makes sense. Like you would have to take it out of the gun, then put the clip in your hand or the magazine, start putting the rounds in, and you have to do all that shit. Just like you can like wrap up wounds in this game with anything that's cloth, but there is bandages that are sealed, and then there are rags, but rags can cause infection. So there's disinfectant that you can drink if you want. You shouldn't, but you can. Just like gasoline, I picked up the jerry can. It's like one of the options was drink. I'm like, no. But you can spray disinfectant on things so it's clean. So just like if you find a bottle of water, you should always dump it out because it's been sitting there. It's probably got bacteria in it, and then go find a well and fill it up again. So it's like got all these little things you got to think about, to the point where when I finally figured out how to cook with a stove, I had to think about that the meat was hot and I shouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
Like it was like hot and steaming, and I want to eat it, but it's like hot. I'm like, I put it on my stick and put it in my backpack, and it's just on my backpack steaming. So yeah, a lot of really cool little details that you just gotta kind of think like in real life, this would probably happen.
Yeah.
So they thought about that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I guess I don't want to go too much more into like just every little detail of the game itself, but like as a first experience, I was very impressed. I could see how the game would be very stressful to people. I could also see how without people, how you would run out of things to do. I'm playing it very very casually, so
there's still hours and hours of things to do if you're playing PvE, but the real experience is with people, because you get to have these interactions with like proximity chat, where some people are playing like negative, like I'm gonna go kill everybody kind of situation. Some people are just like playing passive and they don't want to be seen. Some people are trying to be friendly, and you run into all these scenarios that like back in the day I had fucking PTSD over, because like I had interacted with so many people and just saw the worst in mankind, but then also met a lot of really cool people in DayZ as well. And those kind of situations are like fond memories of mine when it comes to gaming. And only a game like DayZ can really offer that. But yeah, in PvE, there's still plenty to do. You just don't have that variable of running into somebody randomly and going like, let's just like not be seen by them, or like let's fucking just shoot him, or like just all these different things that can happen.
Yeah, I feel like long term, in order to like, if you were to like insist on playing PV for a long time on it, I think you would have to probably find a mod to make harder and smarter enemies, because the zombies are quite dumb. Yeah, the only
At least on PC though, there's more zombies.
I was gonna say, the last thing I'm gonna bring up before I'm just kind of done yapping about it is that having played the PS4 version and the PC version, they're super comparable, but yeah, the zombie density is significantly less on PlayStation.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy.
there's like 6 to 8 on screen anytime.
Yeah, we saw a lot like almost immediately when we started playing on PC. So
Yeah, on the PS4 version, and this is what we're reviewing, but like we'd be walking, and in DayZ it like will load things in chunks when you enter areas. It's how you used to know if somebody was in the areas, if things were already kind of there. I don't know if it's still like that or not, but it looked like that when we're playing on PS4, because I would see things pop in. But it'd be like 2 zombies out in the distance. There'd be one up close by the store, and then you go around the corner, and there's like a couple more zombies over there. When we played on PC, it kind of validated what I thought the game was like, because when we're playing on PS4, I'm like, I remember zombies being more of a threat than this. But then when we hopped on PC, like as soon as I spawned, I looked down the street, there's like 2 zombies. I'm like, okay, there's 2. I go over a fence, and there's like 4 zombies in this yard. I'm like, there's a lot of fucking zombies in this area. What's going on here? And then like I crawled under a fence, went behind this building. All of a sudden there's like 5 zombies over there. I'm like, oh, there's just way more zombies on PC. Okay, because like I was like, why is this place popular?
Yeah,
it's like that everywhere.
We were stealthing like a lot.
Yeah.
Versus like I feel like we didn't really have to do that very much on console. So
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, my overall experience was pretty positive. Even with the slightly clunkiness of the controller, but that I don't think you can really help that. It plays just fine. You can have a full experience on console.
I was actually impressed with how playable it was.
Yeah, they did a great job, and muscle memory is going to happen. You know, you're going to learn how to do all that stuff without thinking about it. I was having the worst time because I would like have to process everything I was doing constantly, which was just slowing me down. So, but overall, I had a good time. I would be slightly open to the idea of playing in a PvP setting, but I'd prefer to be with a group of people I know, and I just don't know how many people I know who would be willing to play the game at this point. So,
I know some people would probably play.
Yeah, and then we would have to obviously like set up some kind of system or whatever for that. But voice chat would ruin that experience. But overall, had a good time. So.
Yeah, once you get more familiar with the game, it'd be a lot easier to hop into a PvP situation, because then you don't have the hurdle of like trying to figure the game out too. Because in multiple of our play sessions and on PC, a lot came back to me, so I feel a lot more proficient. But then it's also like rolling the dice with everything that you do, because sometimes you don't find shit, and it's like gets kind of dire. So when you're trying to figure out like how to do things, you're not getting the stuff you need to figure it out. So
right,
yeah. Anything else?
No.
I love DayZ. I've been a big fan for a long time. Played the mod back in the day. Played the standalone when it came out. Played it in many different phases when zombies couldn't not aggro you. They would chase you forever. Zombies would go through walls. Certain mechanics wouldn't work. So I've seen this game in really bad places, to the point where I didn't play it for like a couple of years because it was just in such a bad place. I'm very happy to say, coming back to it, it's functioning way better. It's completely playable. It works as it should. It does have some of the Bohemia interactive Arma jank to it, with certain things kind of popping in and out, or things being kind of weird. Sometimes it's hard to interact with things, but luckily in this game, most of the time when you go into the UI, you can interact with something that you might be having problems with looking at and doing something with. For instance, if there's like a really small thing on a table and you start trying to get that angle to grab it, you can just like open up the UI, and in the I think it's vicinity or something like that tab, it'll show anything that's on the ground in there. You just fucking move it from there. So there's always a way to fix the problems, but this is a thing that just goes across Arma to DayZ. It's very Bohemia. But yeah, the game is just as good, if not better, in terms of all the new mechanics that I wasn't there for than when I originally played the game. It's in a really good place right now, I would say, as somebody who hasn't played in years, maybe somebody who has been playing for a while. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the current state of DayZ? Because I was out of it for a while. But yeah, this is a game that I always thought you might like. I wanted you to try, but I understood the PvP aspect of it might be a turnoff, because there's just a lot of lot of calculations you have to make when it comes to real people making decisions in a game that's based off scarcity. So you don't know if somebody's going to try and kill you, someone's going to play nice then try to kill you, or someone's actually nice. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. So yeah, it was fun playing with you. I literally forgot how much I love the whole process in DayZ of just looking for stuff, because you just go through it's like an abusive relationship where like you feel like shit constantly, but then like they tell you they love you and you're like, oh my God, I feel better now. Like everything's good again. And then it gets really bad again. That's DayZ. It's like constantly looking around for shit. I'm like, oh my God, dude, there's no food anywhere. Holy shit. There's nothing. I can't find anything. Then you find like a backpack. You're like, holy fuck, this is a game changer. I can carry so much shit now. Or like, when you're getting really hungry and then you find a can of tuna, or apples. Apples are such a big, or pears, plums. Just finding these things, you get these like dopamine hits that just makes the whole experience kind of like a drug. But yeah, the game's been out for a long time. I love this engine, but I still think it looks good. It doesn't look like a big old modern AAA game, but it has this realism look to it that I've always found really appealing. The whole world is just really creepy and desolate and kind of beautiful in the same way. Like the foliage of the trees and like the weather system, all the buildings. It's just like a really cool looking game. And then all the animations I was actually pretty impressed with. There's so many different animations for so many things that, like, even if you were playing in a PvP setting, you could get so much information from somebody just by watching the way they move and what they're doing. It just tells you so much. And in a game like that's really important. And there's all these like emotes and shit too, where you can like put your hands up, you can like lay on the ground, put your hands behind your head. Like if someone's like sticking you up, like in this game you can, and I'm sure anybody who's even looked into this game at all knows, but like you can like handcuff people, you can put like bags over their heads so they can't see where the hell they're going. You can do all sorts of weird shit. You can make people drink bleach, all sorts of stuff. So there's just a lot going on with it. But yeah, as for the PS5, PS4 version experience, I don't have a whole lot of complaints. It played well. It was a little tough to aim, but not so bad because we're only going against zombies, and a lot of times they just run at you in a straight line. I didn't really have to shoot a whole lot. I didn't want to.
You're right.
But melee combat worked fine. I did run into issues that you had kind of said earlier of like when I went to run indoors, I tried to shut them behind me. I would miss with the stick, like trying to hit it, and then the zombie would already like run in. So that was annoying on PC. It's not a thing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I still really want to play it, but on PC now, because even though it's completely functional and works great on PS4, PC is just a better experience. Looks better, plays better. You can aim much better. Yeah, really good experience. I really enjoy the game a lot. I love the gameplay loop of it. I would have liked to do some PvP, but the PvE was fun. And I think you could get a lot of hours out of just playing PvE as well, though, as long as you're just moving from town to town, going to military camps, looking for better weapons, trying to establish like a home base. Once you can get like some vehicles or like a helicopter, you can start getting around the map a lot easier. In fact, on our current server on PC, I just got a boat all fixed up. I got a spark plug. I got it with fuel, or all fueled up. My guy was getting sick, so I was in the water so often. But I found some multivitamins, took those. It fucking took care of it. So that was nice. I think I still have like 8 multivitamins. I will not be getting rid of those because sickness just comes too easily in this game. So, but yeah, it's a great game. Really enjoyed it, and definitely want to play it some more.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
No.
All right. Let's do recommendations. If you like zombie games, if you like survival games, if you like, I hate to say it 'cause this game is better than Rust, but if you can't like games like Rust where you get all these random scenarios that can happen, I'd recommend it to you. If you like hardcore survival in the sense that the game is basically trying to kill you and you've got to like just be on your shit, you don't get to really relax, I'd recommend it to you. Loosely, and if you have played Arma, you played this, but if you played the Arma games and like the way they play, I would recommend this to you. already said Rust, like dynamic games where you play with other people. I would recommend it to you. Intricate games where like you have to really micromanage and utilize systems. You can plant plants in this. You can like hunt and like build infrastructure. It doesn't have a building system like Minecraft or like Valheim or any games that have like, you know, Conan Exiles, but you can put down like tents and like canopies and all sorts of stuff like that, and you find generators and power things with electricity. So there is stuff to work towards. So
Yeah.
but yeah, those are my recommendations.
The only thing I'm really going to add is if you like high risk PvP games, because you know, you could take one bullet and be done. So
Yep. From any caliber.
and then the other suggestion or recommendation I would give is if you like, I don't know how to word this, but games where you have to interact with other people in the same vein as like, this is gonna be a weird one, but like Among Us, right? Where like you
Social
have
deduction
to have
games.
certain types of conversations with people, which allows people to like act deceivingly, right? This game really is going to incentivize that kind of behavior. So if you like that kind of stuff, having the human experience, basically, the game offers it for sure. So,
Oh yeah. Anything else?
no.
All right. I go first, right? When we grade. Okay, so grading it. I'm gonna give this game. This is just my bias and nostalgia. I'm giving it an A. I really enjoy this game. I used to love it. I still do, coming back to it. I think the PS4 version is a lesser version in some small ways than the PC version, but it's actually really impressive how well it translates to console, to the point where sometimes we play a game on console versus PC, and I'm like, you should play on PC, but if you have to, play on console. It's not even if you have to. Like this is a pretty legitimate version of
sure.
the game, so you're not missing a whole lot outside of. I do think there's more zombies on PC.
So there's like plenty of servers. So
there's plenty of servers, yeah, and it's completely functional and plays well. So I was really impressed with how smooth it played, and how well everything worked. So, but yeah, my overall enjoyment of it and how well it worked on PS4, I'm giving it an A. I think it's I still think, surprisingly, with how many survival games are out there, I still think it's a unique game. It really has its own vibe that other games have barely. There's some games out there like DayZ and shit like that, which you should check out. That's a it's DayZ, but instead of zombies, it's like NPC people with guns.
okay,
But you're still running around scavenging, but there's like NPCs with weapons.
okay,
But there's other games like it, but they don't have the same amount of like love and passion put into them as DayZ. DayZ is just such a fulfilling experience with all the mechanics. So yeah, A.
yeah. It also seems like a dev nightmare.
Yeah, well, it took them fucking years.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a very strong B+. I would go higher, but there are a couple things I would personally like to see from the game. I think crossplay would be basically a must for the game,
That'd be cool.
or at least the ability to do as such. I realize some people don't want to mix controller types when it comes to competitive games sometimes, but I think giving people the option to be able to do that, I think it would just improve the game health as well to be able to have crossplay. I don't know what hurdles would have to be done for that, but please think about doing that. And then I think and I realize the game isn't designed for it, but it's never too late to add a stronger focus on some PvP, not PvP, PvE to-dos, basically. You know, I'd kind of talked with you a little bit about it, but like hordes of zombies being like events that could happen, for example, or mutated types of zombies, and they don't have to be like DayZ zombies, for example, but like,
Yeah, I wouldn't want like special infected.
no. But yeah, like all the zombies are basically like the same type of. They're just like a normal, average human, you know, basically, and you know, in real life, there's all sorts of different kinds of people who would turn into zombies and would probably be tougher to deal with. So.
The one thing that differentiates zombies is what they're wearing. So if they have like a military helmet on, they're going to take the same damage from a headshot that somebody else wearing a helmet is. Or if they have a backpack, you can take the backpack off. So if they're wearing like, you know, a vest, a bulletproof vest like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, they're all the same.
Yeah, just variables, and then some. And I don't know how they would do it, obviously, because I don't want them to deter from what they've done, because I think obviously they've made a game for a specific purpose for the most part. But I don't know, as someone who does not like PvP and would love to play, and I'm not done with the game. I plan on playing it some more when time permits, but I would like more objectives, I guess, to do, and that's just a nitpick for me, I suppose. So.
Yeah, it's something DayZ does. It has random events that happen on the map, and it wants you to go do them, and you get rewarded with a currency. So there's some games out there that are trying to do stuff like that.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's a neat game. I would love to play it in a larger setting, though. Again, I don't want to play with randos just because I get way too anxious when it comes to PvP. So I'd prefer doing a setting with people I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Also worth mentioning, because I experienced this when I originally played DayZ, but they added all these different animals or whatever, and there's like wolves and stuff in the game. So there is some other types of things that I wasn't prepared for. I heard howling, and it was really intense guttural howling. It wasn't like a cartoon, and it was like like you're out in the wild. And I heard it from a direction because the game's got good audio, and I was like, is there fucking wolves in this game? And then I saw like a white thing come running out from behind a house, and I was like, well, and I like ran to a house, shut the door, because I'm like, I'm not gonna wait to see what happens here. Yeah. And then by the time I got in the building, I look out the window, and there's like 4 wolves out there just barking at me, and then I hear them behind the house too, and I'm like, there's like gotta be like 6 wolves here.
Yeah.
And I started just firing out the window at them, so I'm like, fuck this. But then I cooked the meat, and I got sick. But yeah, there's definitely some variables that I wasn't prepared for. So
for sure.
But yeah, we talked about this for like
a long time,
40 minutes. So let us know in the comments, what do you guys think about DayZ? Have you played it? Have you not played it? If you haven't played it, why haven't you played it? If you played it, have you played it in the past? Did you play it recently? Have you been playing forever? I know a bunch of people still play this game. And what do you think about the game? And what would you like to see them add? Maybe there's some features we didn't talk about that you want to talk about. Let us know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to DayZ. The second game we played this month is My Hero One's Justice 2, which is a My Hero Academia game, basically a 3D fighter brawler that features a story mode, a mission mode, PvP, like an arcade mode where you just kind of go, you pick like a roster and start fighting through it. It's got a shitload of characters from this show. I don't know any of their names, but actually has a lot of characters in it. And yeah, the system is kind of like the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, but also kind of like Power Stone
anime fighter, because
you can like run around the map, but the camera's kind of it stays behind what's happening, but you're able to kind of like run around the background and stuff. And like has everyone has like punches, kicks. They have their own abilities based off of whatever the hell they do in the anime. You have buttons to dodge and block, and it's a fighter brawler. And yeah, you can unlock like customization for your characters, and you fight stuff. There's a story. I played the story mode. It didn't do anything for me, because it's, I think, season 2 or something.
It starts at season 1.
Huh?
It starts in the beginning.
Does it?
Yeah.
When I read the synopsis, it said this one takes place in like the beginning of season 2 or something like that.
Maybe it was. I could have swore it was basically the whole story, though, because I was going through. I was like, "Yep, I remember all this." But
oh, yeah, I don't know.
I could be misremembering.
Yeah, I have no frame of reference, but from what I read, it said this one takes place at certain seasons, and the first game of this took place earlier in the season 1 or something like that. I don't know, but we both played it. I go first. This. I have no affinity for the anime. I've seen a couple episodes. It was fine, but this is an anime that I hear from people who watch it that they're just not that into it, but they still watch it anyway. So that doesn't ever sound very interesting to me, I guess, to go back and watch it. So no affinity for the brand. So I'm coming into this game kind of rolling the dice to find out whether this is going to be a good anime game or a shitty anime game, because they typically lean one direction. There's a bunch of great anime games, but there's also like a lot of just pump them out anime games. This kind of feels like that. The graphics are fine. Is this a PS4 game or a PS5 game?
I didn't check.
I don't remember, but it didn't look that great, but it looked fine. but it's a very basic game, and I guess like you could say any fighting game's basic in the sense that you're standing there and you punch and kick and block, and in this you're doing the same. But the button layout and how you function in fighting, just it like there's like technique for sure. I'm sure there's people who are really good at this game, but like I was like button mashing a lot of times. I was still just beating the shit out of anyone I went up against. Obviously, I could turn the difficulty up, but I'm not worried about a challenge. Just at the default setting, it just felt sloppy the way the combat works. It feels like it just kind of incentivized like just hit them so they can't hit you. And it's like okay. So yeah, graphics are okay. The visual style looks like the anime, and I think the anime's got a nice art style to it, even though I don't like the character designs a whole lot. I was really impressed with how many characters are in this game. It was almost overwhelming because
There's a lot in the show.
I only know like 4 of the characters from the show. I don't even know them by name. I've just seen them. I've seen the girl in the schoolgirl outfit. I've seen the main character. I've seen the blonde Superman guy. And then somebody else. But the rest of them I've never seen before. So I was like, whoa, there's a lot of characters. That's really cool because I played a lot of these characters to get a feel for the game. And they all feel completely different. So, the effort in making sure there's a bunch of characters that all play different is there. There's some characters I straight fucking hated playing. They felt like casters, which is kind of cool that the game even has that.
Yeah.
And then other people felt like, people who more so punch, stuff like that. So... there's some people who you had to get pretty intricate in how you fight people because they had like all these things they're casting. They had to kind of like time. So yeah, had a kind of like brawler feel to it, which was interesting. But when it came down to it, the fights themselves just kind of felt like clusterfucks. I'm playing against computer, but it was just them running at me, trying to hit me as much as they could, and me doing the same. I never really felt. It has like all these different moves, but never felt like technical by any means. It also has like not a tag system. It has like you bring 2 sidekicks with you, and you can use them as moves basically. You like bring them in and they'll attack and do something, which I thought was kind of a cool system, although it just kind of felt like a oh shit button for me. And then there's also multiple levels of like moves, ultimates, I guess.
Ults,
yeah. You have a bar that goes up, and at level 1 you can do this, at level 2 you can do this, and at level 3 you can do your ultimate.
You can also do those with your assistants. You can have them do their moves too.
So those are cool systems as well. Yeah, the customization I don't really care a whole lot about, which is kind of a bummer, but also I don't care about the brand, so I guess that wasn't very exciting for me. I do think it changed stats or something. Some of the stuff I don't remember.
No, I don't remember that.
Well, some of it didn't, some of it did, but I don't. Maybe I'm misremembering. And yeah, I played the story mode just to get a feel for it, but because it felt like it was like mid-season, the story was telling, it felt like it's for people who already watched the anime, and it is. But as somebody who doesn't, I have no fucking idea what was going on, and that's fine. The way they told it was just like pictures anyway, so that wasn't too exciting for me. And then I played the mission mode a little bit. That wasn't that interesting for me either. And then I did the arcade mode to really dial in and play all the characters. And that was probably where I had the most enjoyment, but not like a whole lot. So yeah, overall, it's an okay brawler with okay graphics, seemingly underdeveloped systems, but with an impressive roster. That's my thoughts. That's all I got.
Okay. I mean, that you had a lot more than I thought you were going to have for it. So
I'm trying.
Yeah. So I am current on the anime, and I'm probably one of those people who would say it's an okay watch, but if you really don't have anything else to watch right now, because I do think the show started really strong, and that it has. I'm just committed to see the end at this point, I think. So
it seems like one of those animes, every time I talk to somebody about it, they're just like, I just need to know where it goes. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's one of those, huh?
Just because, like, it is wrapping up now. So I think the manga's done. I think the next season's the last season of the anime, if I'm not mistaken. So will be able to put it behind me for better or worse. We'll see. That being said, the game I think is a pretty faithful adaptation, which is great. The story mode, if you have seen the show, is going to be just enough information for you to go, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. Type of thing. And it was fine. I did mostly play the story mode, so it did give me the opportunity to play through multiple characters because depending on what aspect of the story you're in, you get to play from the perspective of different people, which was kind of cool, especially without getting too spoilery in case you are someone who is interested in watching or playing. There is like a school versus school like training arc that happens, and you get to play for multiple characters from both schools, which is kind of cool. So I am a big fan of fighting games. I am not a fan at all of these brawler style games. I do not find them enjoyable at all, and this game was no exception to that. They feel so basic in the way they play, and I kind of like the tactics involved in like a fighting game. And so like I always have a hard time playing these. I understand the appeal. I don't actually think there's anything wrong with it. It's just really hard for me to play and enjoy myself. So I struggled a lot playing this game just because the part of the game that matters, the gameplay, is just not fun for me. So
yeah,
I do think they did a good job like representing people's oh my god, I forgot what they're called. They're perks basically. Are their abilities called? Anyways, I'm sure someone will be able to correct me in the comments. But anyways, they're superpowers. They're called something else. They're quirks. They're quirks. Thank you.
Academias.
They did a good job representing all the characters' quirks. I think that was kind of fun. I also like that you can do the tag thing as a move instead, because I don't like tag games, but I like the idea of being able to bring them. I actually think Marvel Tokon coming out is going to have a similar system where you can use them as assists, but you play as one type of thing, or at least they all share one hit point bar.
That'll be a better game.
Wow, Arc System works, baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, visually it's okay. Like you can tell they didn't put like a ton of work into it, but I don't think it looks bad. It's just like not super impressive either. If you are a fan of My Hero, though, there's a lot of game there for that aspect.
I think that's a huge factor missing for me. It's like it's just there's like so much for people who are into the anime, and I'm not. So I'm just like,
and I think that's true of most anime
yeah,
fighting games, right? Like I'm not the biggest. In fact, I have zero connection to Naruto at all. But like I know people love those games, right? And it makes sense. That game has a huge following. They probably also put a little more money in the Naruto games, just like they do with the Dragon Ball games, because there's just a lot of people who invest in those IPs, basically. So
yeah.
As far as like the game itself goes, I actually didn't have any like technical complaints about the game. It played the way it was intending to play. Like never ran into any bugs or issues. Like the experience was smooth, so I have no complaints with that. I just think it's kind of a boring and shallow experience. So
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Nothing else?
Nope.
All right. Recommendations. Obviously, if you're a fan of the anime, I'm sure you played this, and if you haven't, it seems like it's probably going to be more interesting for you. Probably. So check that out. Also, if you're into more 3D open area brawler fighting games, this is one, and it's competent enough. It doesn't really feel too inspired, but it does have some cool systems like the sidekick system and stuff like that. Also, it does have, I think you can like, unless the game was bugging out, but like there's parts where like somebody was attacking me and they hit me against a wall, and like the camera turned sideways against the wall when I was getting like pinned against them and they're hitting me. And I think one level was able to go through a wall. So I think there's environmental things happening. I don't know. Maybe it was just glitching out. But yeah, if you're into those kind of games, Power Stone, stuff like that, the Dragon Ball fighting games, check this out. And if you like fighting games in general that have big rosters with a lot of different characters, this has that with stuff to unlock. But yeah, it's like all fighting games, it's hard to recommend outside of that realm. So, because if you're not in fighting games, you're not going to be into this.
For sure. I don't have anything to add to that.
All right. You grade it.
I'm gonna try to be fair about it, just because it's it's going to be really easy for me to be negative because this kind of game is just not for me at all, regardless of the IP. So, I think because I didn't really have any issues, and I do think it offers a suite of things for the people who are going to be interested in this game, I'm going to give it a B-. I do think the game was fine. I'm not the audience for it, so I think it's about I like just to like as an example of why I'm kind of thinking B-. I think there's a lot they could improve upon it just from a video game standpoint. The graphics could be better. The story mode could be a little better than just like slideshows, and like there's a lot of like areas of improvement.
Oh, dude, I was like falling asleep with all the story stuff.
But it is a fully functioning game, so
yeah, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a C. I originally was feeling C-, but I don't think there's necessarily much wrong with it outside of the whole experience feels shallow. It does have like a bunch of characters, which obviously isn't shallow. There's a lot of work put into that, and there's stuff you unlock, stuff like that. But like every fight just kind of felt the same. It just felt like clusterfucks constantly, and you know, I can have fun with most games, and I just wasn't getting anything out of this game when I was playing it. I literally was like, I have to play this for the channel, and I need to put enough time into it to not just be bullshitting my way through talking about it. I think I accomplished that, but I didn't have fun. But I do wonder if I was a fan of this anime, if that would have helped boost up any enjoyment out of this game. But when it comes to just like straight up gameplay and mechanics, it is for me very underwhelming. And I even with the Naruto fucking fighting game, wherever the hell that we played, there's like an online like hub-based game. I had fun with that. And I don't know shit about Naruto outside of their ninjas.
I know they're better made games typically.
It's like Ninja Harry Potter. But like that's an example of me also not knowing shit about the anime and still going like, it's got some like neat little systems. And that game was kind of janky too, but like it had like a gameplay loop that was like fun to play. But yeah, this was just not fun for me. So C, light C. I don't want to be too harsh on it. C's passing. So yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think about My Hero Justice. One's Justice 2.
You'll never have to say it again.
I'm so happy. Let us know what you thought of the game. If you didn't play, why don't you play it? If you did play, what'd you think of it? Have you played other games like the first one of this or other games like this? Which one's your favorite? What do you think about this game? What are some of your favorite things about it? Maybe things you'd like to see them improve. And if you have a favorite anime fighting game, let me know in the comments below. Last game we played was Lies of P. If you didn't get a chance to play Lies of P, it is a Souls-like, hard, straight up, not hard as in difficulty, but just like straight up Souls-like, based off of the story of Pinocchio, in which you play a puppet and run around a city that's gone ran amok, fighting enemies and bosses, finding weapons and gear. The game differentiates itself from other Souls-likes in that it has a system where every weapon you have has a blade and a handle, and you can actually swap those with other blades and handles every time you find a new weapon to create new combos for your build. It also has, oh no, I forgot what the name what's called. You have a mechanical arm.
I don't know the name either.
I can't remember the name of it. Why? I fucking beat
It's
the
a
game.
piece
I
of
should
equipment,
be able to remember. But you can swap that out with other arms, from like flamethrowers to throwing acid to having a shield, to like punching things. One is like a cannon you can shoot. That's the one I use the most. And yeah, it has the same systems as other Souls-likes, though. It basically has souls in this. It's called Ergo. And when you drop it and die again, it doesn't just disappear like in Souls-like games. It just diminishes. So it has a much more friendly way to do that system. Also has checkpoints, bonfire system. It's very Souls-like, with a bunch of bosses, pretty big campaign, and any other major features that I'm missing. There's actually a lot of little things this game that kind of make it different than Souls, but we'll talk about it. We both played it, and we starting with you again? Yeah. What are your thoughts of Lies of P in August?
Okay. Obviously was super aware of this game. I don't usually run out and buy every Souls type game. Because I know just I have a hard time playing a lot of them. I don't know why Elden Ring is the exception, but it is. That and Neo, I like Neo a lot. So yeah, it was nice to be able to try this game because I wasn't going to buy it. So I am happy to say that I see why people love this game. That is not necessarily indicative of my opinion, but like from playing the game, I get it. It is a very well made game.
Yeah, it's solid.
And it gives you, like you have kind of already said, that familiar formula, but also some stuff to kind of play around with. I also think it leans towards a more casual audience, which I think is really honestly kind of a good thing. I feel like outside of the boss difficulty in Neo, like you can get a kind of similar thing with Neo because the game will let you just grind really easily and you get better loot and stats and stuff like that. Versus like Elden Ring's kind of the only one that's like that in Souls games. So
Yeah, I actually just made a TikTok about this topic when it comes to difficulty and how I played through this game, I beat it, and I had problems with 2 bosses throughout the whole game. I beat almost every boss in this game first try. That's not me humble bragging. That's not me going like, this game's too easy. I actually kind of liked that it wasn't as stressful as most Souls-likes try to be. It has challenges to it, but it's just a little more chill than like a Dark Souls game. It also has difficulty settings, which most Souls-likes don't. And I actually respect From Software not giving people that because they should be able to make the game how they want to make it. If they want that to be the experience, that's the experience.
For sure.
But NeoWiz, is that who made this?
I think so.
They decided to allow you to pick a hard difficulty, a normal difficulty, which is what I played, and then an easy difficulty. And on normal, it was pretty chill. Yeah. There's times where I'd die from like environmental shit, like I'd fall off a cliff or something like that. But like when it came to like what you expect from a Souls, like bosses being difficult, they were all spectacles, all challenges, but they weren't like, oh my god, this is fucking crazy. And so I think there is room for that to exist in the genre, so it's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, well, I also think it's a good like stepping stone for people who maybe are interested in it but don't want to get their butts kicked left and right. Like you can, they obviously after a while you play in Souls games, you get used to that, but like for new players, it's very daunting. So
that's what inspired me to make a TikTok about it, and that will be one of my recommendations when we get to that point about this conversation. Is that if you're one of those people who you find yourself being upset with Souls-like games being like super difficult and you want that difficulty setting, this is the perfect, like they made the game you want here. Like this Liza P offers you an entry point into Souls style games that's not overly difficult. And so there's a bunch of people I think should play this if they are feeling alienated by the difficulty of From Software games.
Yeah. Let's see what else. So the game is pretty good about its storytelling, which is also kind of a struggle in this genre.
Yeah.
So I'll give them credit for that as well. I wasn't paying a lot of attention, but I was able to kind of, obviously stay on point on what we were doing and with the story and stuff like that. So that's nice if you were into that kind of stuff. They actually have made a good attempt to tell a straightforward story. So, which is appreciated.
I also appreciate too that even though them making like a dark Pinocchio story doesn't do a whole lot for me because I don't care about Pinocchio.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that they didn't make a Dark Souls story because like a lot of games like Lords of the Fallen, which I fucking love, it feels like very Dark Soulsy in the story they're trying to tell. And I've played a lot of games that are just like, let's try to make a Dark Souls story. And this is like, what if we reimagined the story of Pinocchio and without dropping any spoilers, potentially other fairy tales later.
Yeah.
For sequels, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. I mean, that's basically what the Mouse Company did. So
sure,
I won't say their name on this, but
yeah.
And so it's a fun play on that for sure. I think where this game probably is the strongest for me is the equipment and how you can play with it. It's a fun take on on weapons and sidearms and stuff like that. Because like you can, like you had mentioned, you can have we'll call it the blade and the handle, and you can mix and match them as you please, and it does affect the way it swings, its stats, its strengths, its weaknesses, etc., which is pretty nice. I only had 3 weapons at the point of the game I got to. I'm 3 bosses in. I did that right before filming, so this is very fresh for me, fortunately.
Yeah, and I wanted you to get further in too, because some of the features don't unlock until you get to a certain point, and there's whole features of this game that I don't feel like you could have like a great opinion of the game if you didn't get to experience them, because they're like kind of where the bread and butter's at.
Sure.
Like the weapon handle system.
Well, and I got my second arm as well, so
And
I was
then
able to
the arm
experience
system.
that.
Did you experience the skill tree at all?
Yeah, the chair you sit in or whatever. Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, those 3 things are basically the big differentiators of this game to other Souls-like games.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of like little systems that equal your power basically in this game, and I think that's a fun take on it because Souls is very basic. It's you level, you put those into stats, and you find gear.
You find awesome weapons.
That's fine, and I love that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it definitely plays with the idea of, and I think this is a Korean-made game, so it makes a lot of sense now that I know that. A lot of systems I would see in a lot of like Asian-made games, which is power through multiple things. So
I literally, when I started playing this game, and just I think I already said this, but I've beaten this game now, and I'm about in chapter 6 of my New Game Plus playthrough, so I'm playing it. When I first started playing this game, I'm like, yeah, it's a Souls-like, cool, whatever. Like it looks fine. It plays good. It's whatever, but it's just like another Souls-like. And then I got into the systems after you get past certain bosses, and then it started clicking. And I was like, I want more weapons because I want to see what I can tinker around with in terms of making my own weapons, which is something this genre doesn't offer. And then getting new arms. I'm like, well, what other arms are there? I want to get all those unlocked. And then all those arms have 4 upgrades apiece, and they're pretty significant. Like the cannon, you have to like stop and shoot, and later you can dodge while shooting, which makes a fucking huge difference.
yeah, like I got the electro arm. It's the second one, I believe, unless I missed one, which is possible. And that one, you can kind of do a small zap, and it just causes them to kind of stop for a moment. But if you charge and hold it and hit them with it, you'll put them in. I can't remember what that stage is called, but their hit point bar gets a white bar around it so that you can hold your heavy attack.
Stagger, I
which
think.
puts them into a stagger, which then you can do a sneak attack from any direction. So it's this cool little 3-piece meal that you can do with that one arm. So,
and because this game has so many like little quality of life systems that I don't want Dark Souls to have, but I like that they have it because it just feels like a little like more inviting. When you stagger somebody, there will be a red silhouette of where you need to stand to execute that attack. And when you walk into it, you'll hit attack and you'll do your finisher move on them. And like when you get Ergo, which is Souls in this, you have a counter at the top right, like in Souls games, but there is a bar that's filling, and when it fills up, your number will turn green, and it's telling you can go level up now.
There's also a number next to it because like before,
because if you keep going, you'll get more and more.
I had 5, so I was able to level 5
times. And so like it has all these really cool little like quality of life systems that feel more gamey, but it's kind of like in a game where you're trying to just keep leveling and grinding and getting all these cool things and trying to tinker around with builds and stuff like that. That gaminess kind of alleviates the stress of this genre, and it just becomes more of like a fun game, which is something that I don't think a lot of these games have, because they're normally just really intense games where you just want to get better weapons so you can fucking beat the hard bosses. But this has like just a more gamey feel. And then the skill tree, which I think is a really neat system, because first off, in these types of games, you typically don't get stuff like that.
You use quartz, I think, as a resource for it.
Yeah. You basically have like a grid of 4 different things that if you complete it, you get an upgrade. But while you're completing it, you get to have little passives that you're getting as you go. It's kind of hard to explain, but as you keep progressing through the skill tree and getting like perks and like passives and stuff, you start getting better and better stuff you can start putting in as passives the further along you go, and it's like really game-changing shit. So it's like it's exciting.
I mean, like just even from the beginning where I'm at,
and there's a branch in the skill tree that only you get in New Game Plus. So that's fucking
smart.
cool. Yeah. I think I didn't see
So
it.
the health potion, whatever it's called in this game, right, is one of the first ones you can get an option for, and basically you get the ability to buy passives. So when you go to use the potion, you get access to these passives at the same time. Kind of reminds me of the potion system in a lot of ARPGs. But
Yeah.
I equipped using 2 quartz or whatever. One of them allows for my block gauge to recharge faster while for a period of time after using the potion, and then the other one is stuns last a little longer, or something like that. And so like you get these kind of like affixes basically. I think it's what I wanted. That you can add to things. Then there's just a whole tree full of stuff like that. And I also noticed while I was in there, I only had access to section 1 of passives, and then there was a 2 and another section after that, which I imagine you unlock later and have some more stuff. Because I was wondering if there'd be more. Like I was like, oh well, maybe there's like a heal over time one, and maybe there's a increase your dodge window one. But those sound kind of powerful, and they're probably, if they are in the game, further down. So.
Well, there's a ring you can get where you heal over time, but yeah, outside of like a Dark Souls game where it's just like leveling up and getting better gear and spells, this actually has like hard skills and passives you can also get over time as well. So like it just gives you an extra power fantasy factor that you don't get in games like this. So that's where I really found enjoyment in the game, is those systems that are the new and fresh things, because otherwise it's a third-person Souls-like action game that has solid combat, but I mean it's about what you expect.
Yeah. What else did I do? I played around with weapon swapping a little bit. That's pretty fun, though. I just kind of defaulted back to one of the weapons I liked. I don't really have a lot of choices to interplay with, and so everything I like about the weapon I was using got worse when I mix and matched it with other stuff. So that'll be fun to play with later, I'm sure. Right now, it was neat, but it ruined the weapon I liked. So I'm sure with more choices, like I said, it'll be really cool. But right now, I'm just like, I don't like those other 2 weapons. So, and everything about them I don't like is being transferred over to the one I do like. So, but it is neat that it has that system, and I like choices, and so the fact that it's there is nice. Combat is fine. It's as I would expect it to be. It functions well. I have no complaints there. That is probably the glaring place to have a complaint with this style of game, especially if they're going to make a Souls style game. The combat's very important. So no complaints there. Functions very familiar. If you play the genre, like you'll know exactly basically what everything does, which is not a bad thing. I just very predictable. And yeah, game's decent looking. Characters are done pretty well, though. The blue-haired lady kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, why is your hair so
I'm
blue?
actually not a huge fan of the character designs in this game. I like the costumes and outfits and stuff like that, but like I think people look kind of weird.
Yeah.
They look like plasticky to me. And in a game where there's puppets, like the main character makes sense, but like the humans also look like that. So
Yeah, I've only really met a couple, so I guess I don't really have a large amount to go by. The only one that looked weird to me was the girl you run into when you get in the hotel. So, because Geppetto looked fine to me.
yeah.
And then the cosmetics are fun. It's probably one of my favorite things about the game was that I started with a wolf, or not wolf. I keep saying wolf. German Shepherd head, which I put on immediately because I think it's very well designed. It also has this cool little rope thing going on. But then there's a boss you fight where you get another animal head, and I was like, oh, cool, there's more of these. And then you had brought up there was more. So I like that aspect of it because you get to kind of like, you could choose to look normal or you could choose to look like a weirdo. And I like that.
Yeah, you don't have to wear like the animal heads, but there's a bunch of them, and some of them
clown nose.
Some of them are like straight up like a realistic looking animal head, and some of them are like more artistic looking. Mm-hmm. And I've watched a couple of videos after I've beaten the game, and I saw people with outfits and stuff I don't have, so I don't know where they got those or how you get them, but I'm sure there's a lot of secrets and unlocks I just didn't find.
Yeah, and I love when any game does that. I like having the choice to look cool or look dumb. Like
Yeah.
that's fun, right? So I appreciate that it's in there. I also think they did a good job. Like even with the goofy look and stuff, it like still the color palette of it fits into the world still. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting they went with cosmetics as opposed to like a Dark Souls game where like the armor you're wearing has a look, which I also love. But I kind of like in this game that all of your stats are coming from rings and other
Like little
gear,
plugs and stuff like
little
that.
plugs, stuff like that. But then like you can just get outfits. You find more outfits as you play, and then you kind of mix and match your head with your outfit. And it's a fun little system.
Yeah. I'm just gonna to wrap up my thoughts real quick. Overall, I think the game is pretty cool. I'm not like in love with it, so like I'm not like dying to go back and play it. But like every once in a while, I could see myself maybe revisiting it to like get a little further, or whatnot. I think that my biggest hang up is like aesthetically, it's not form. I don't like the puppets thing, and I don't have like a phobia or anything weird about that. I'm just not really into it. Like I also don't like steampunk that much, so the vibe of the game is just not really my style.
That's actually one of the biggest reasons I never picked it up. Is like I heard when it came out, people were like, "Oh, it's great, it plays really good," blah blah blah. But I just looked at the visual aesthetic of it. I'm like, and I do like historical period looking settings. I do like the city and the visuals of like the environments, but like there's something with the style that's just like not really doing it for me. I do like the outfits you unlock for your character, but like yeah, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah,
So I agree with that.
I mean, and that's basically all I have about it. So.
Yeah. Okay, so like I already kind of said, this is a game that I've been told a million times I need to play. I was interested in it because I like Souls-likes, but from just watching trailers, it just looks like every other Souls-like, and I'm like, I'm sure it plays well, I'm sure it's fine, it looks like it's high quality, but you know, it's not what's it doing that's really gonna make me need to play it. I see a lot of people nowadays talking about Souls-like fatigue, which I kind of get, and I kind of have that. I've had it for a while, but because there's a lot of not great Souls-likes, but when they're good, they're still really good. So I try not to just throw the whole thing out like, you know, battle royales or something like that. So yeah, finally getting a chance to play this, I was actually excited to play it because I almost pulled the trigger on it multiple times, but I just like I never looked at it visually and went like, I gotta fucking play that. I heard from a lot of people this was basically the closest thing to a Bloodborne 2. I don't really agree with that. I think people are just maybe looking at like the world visuals and equating it to Bloodborne, but I think this has like its own identity visually and gameplay wise. It plays like every other Souls-like, except for those unique systems we had already talked about. So I don't really have the whole it's Bloodborne 2 thing that a lot of people like to talk about. But yeah, I started playing it. I wasn't really feeling it at first. The graphics are decent. They're not amazing, but they're good. They're clean looking, which I like. The aesthetic is hit or miss for me. The environments are designed well, although the shortcuts that you expect from a Souls-like are really inconsistent. Sometimes they're like really far along, like you finally wrap around. Sometimes it's like you walked 5 feet and there's like a fucking shortcut you open up and it's like, I'm never going to use this. I'm just going to keep moving on. So it's kind of weird the way they decided to do that. You can tell they haven't been doing it as long as FromSoft. But yeah, after a couple fights and then starting to get into the deeper mechanics of the game, that's where it started kind of getting its hooks in me, which I'm happy to say because I literally was just like, it's fine, whatever. So because of that, I actually ended up beating the game today. But I've been playing it pretty regularly for weeks. And then after beating it, I started New Game Plus, and I'm like, again, there's 11 chapters in the game. I think I'm in like chapter 5 or 6 already because I know where to go now.
Yeah.
But I still want to keep playing it. And in fact, if I get to chapter 9, I might buy the DLC because I think that's where you get to access the DLC Overture. So obviously, I'm into it enough to want to play it. There's just something really satisfying about it. Like I've said, it's it's a Souls-like, but it's not like super hard or stressful. In fact, this is probably one of the easiest Souls-likes I've played, but it's really satisfying to play. I really like tinkering around with builds, messing around with the weapon systems. I like the skill tree. There's just a lot of little things to work towards that makes playing and grinding levels feel fulfilling and worthwhile. So yeah, the overall experience I've been really enjoying. I do have a couple complaints, but it's nothing super huge. I do think combat is fun, and there's a lot of things you unlock through the skill tree that will enhance the combat and make it feel a little better. Because in the beginning, I felt like if I was dodging or whatever, I was still getting hit nonstop, and it's just like it just felt kind of clunky. But there's things later that kind of mitigate some of that stuff. So you're really working towards just feeling better when you're in combat. But there are some enemies and some bosses that their attack patterns are just constant and it doesn't feel good. Not a lot of them, but every once in a while I'd run into a boss and I'm like, you're just fucking attacking nonstop. Like, this is stupid. I beat him, but I was like, this is annoying. This isn't even like a fun fight. And then there's something they start relying on way too fucking much. And when you run into it, you're going to see it a lot after that. You run into your first boss that's like a double boss where you beat them and then they come back. And that's always like, you play any Souls like, you're like, oh fuck, here they're coming back. But this game, that becomes like the standard. Every boss starts doing it. And I'm just like, God damn it, dude. Like, can some of them just be like one health bar? But every single one of them after a while just are like, they have 2 health bars. And I'm like, it's like kind of annoying. But it's just more fun if it's like random than like, it's just like, okay, well, now they're all double health bars because they weren't quite sure what to do with it. But they're always like in different phases and they have different attacks and stuff like that. But they also start reusing some skeletons and attack patterns of prior enemies and they just kind of reskin it. That happens a lot too, and that happens in other games as well. But it's just, if I have any complaints, it's that. And then also, Souls-likes are notorious for their cameras being a problem. This game has that problem, but I had it happen to me 3 times, where the camera would go up my ass where I couldn't see anymore, and then the boss or the enemy would pin me against the wall. And I couldn't move, and they started just hitting me. And like when you're getting hit, you're getting interrupted, so you can't swing. And I'm like, "Are you fucking serious?"
Yeah, in a moment on the second boss, you're fighting on a bridge, and I got my back against the wall, and then all of a sudden I was stuck there for a little bit. I was like, "Dude, are you kidding me right now? This is like so frustrating."
And then this game's also very punishing when it comes to your weapon hitting walls. You can like barely touch a wall with your weapon, and it'll bounce off. And you don't complete the attack. That doesn't happen to enemies, though. So when you're fighting in a hallway, they're just swinging all over the fucking place, going nuts, and you're just like... So, like, right now I'm using, like, a scythe that's, like, a little bigger, and it takes wider swings, and that thing's a bitch to use. And I have to just, like, adapt to that. But, like, the enemies aren't punished that way either. So it's just, like, it just feels kind of shitty sometimes in certain environments, specifically if you're getting mobbed by, like, 3 or 4 dudes. And your weapon just slightly touched the side of a box and it goes tink, and then like they all start smacking you around. This does happen in other Souls-likes, but it doesn't feel like as often as in this game. So yeah, those are probably my biggest complaints. It's just some problems with the combat.
Have a complaint.
What?
Durability. I hate durability on weapons in games. Like,
yeah.
And I ran into the first boss because I wasn't used to the durability system yet. Where I did over half that fight with a broken sword. So
it happened to me one time and never again. Yeah, so I also experienced that.
Well, because once you get used to it, it just becomes a chore, right? And I don't think it's a fun gameplay mechanic in almost any game.
I agree with you, except for I think it's really clever. I don't think you have this unlocked yet. You know how in like Dark Souls or whatever, you can just like light your sword on fire or put electricity on it,
right?
With like certain consumables.
Yeah.
And this you use your the thing that brings your durability back. You can imbue that. Yeah, you can imbue that with elements. Yeah. I think it's kind of a clever way to get multi-use out of one mechanic. But I'm also not a big fan of durability. Specifically later, there's going to be an element that I think it's decay. The longer you're in decay, if it fills the bar up, you start just taking constant damage. But I also noticed that your weapon loses durability when you're in decay, which is annoying. But you just got to pay attention to it because you can repair it as long as it doesn't break. So you just got to be on top of it.
Yeah.
And luckily, you have infinite of that. So. But it's not a fun mechanic. It's just a punishing mechanic.
That's exactly my point. Is like I don't think it adds anything to the game that's good.
Yeah.
So
luckily, I didn't run into a whole lot of issues with it. But when it was an issue, it was annoying. I agree. It's not a fun mechanic. In any game.
That is my one complaint. I remember that earlier, and then you were sitting there talking about complaints, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to mention that. So.
And there's stuff in the skill tree that will slow it down over time. But yeah, I agree. So yeah, those are some complaints, to be fair. But outside of that, I really like the weapons. I really like the weapon system where you can combo them up. I like that you can upgrade the weapons and alter certain things with the weapons as well. So like if you're like a B in technique, which is just one of the stats that you're putting points into, and you want to raise that up to an A, you can. So you can kind of like tinker around with weapons you probably shouldn't be using if your stats are a certain way, which is cool. I also like the arm system. I've already gone over it. The skill tree is cool. It has a really interesting currency system for doing respecs and stuff. You haven't ran into that yet, but it's basically a tree that every like 8 or 10 minutes, 4 of this fruit or something pop up, and you have to go there and collect them. And when you're out about, it'll like tell you that the fruit's ready, but the timer just keeps going but doesn't keep adding up. And then you spend those to like do like respecs and stuff. Okay. I've never done it, but I've been collecting them because I'm like, I think I have like 40 something of them right now. So that's an interesting system as well. And even though I'm mixed on the visual aesthetic, I do think the environments look nice. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies to explore, and there's typically something cool to be found in every direction, so I appreciate that. Exploration doesn't feel wasted, and it has a really good variety of locations, which I appreciate, because when you're starting to get sick of an area, you're in a new area, except for the last chapter is very fucking long compared to the other chapters, but the chapter before that's super short, so... but yeah, overall, I've been really enjoying it. I beat it, which wasn't hard to do because I was enjoying playing it. So at first I'm like, I got to beat it for the channel just so I can talk about it confidently. But then as I played, I'm like, I actually want to beat this. So, and now I might buy Overture. So giving me this game on PlayStation Plus will actually maybe get them some money from me. So yeah, I liked it. You got anything else?
No.
All right. Recommendations, Souls-likes. If you like Souls-likes, this is a really solid one.
Dark fairy tale stories.
Yeah. But just to emphasize, there's a lot of Souls-likes out there. And I would also recommend Lords of the Fallen if you haven't played that as well. But like, there's a lot of them out there. I'm just like, you don't really need to play this. It's kind of like a lesser version. This one's super fucking solid. So if you have not played it like me, I didn't play it until now, just do what I didn't do and try it out. And it's on PlayStation Plus. Play it. Hopefully you claimed it because we're at the end of the month. But yeah, if you're into dark fairy tales, there are games out there that kind of play around with stuff like that. This definitely does that as well. And I've been reading people's opinions on this game. A lot of people seem to really like the Pinocchio thing. I'm not into it, but I do think the story is kind of told in an interesting way. And I do like that it's a coherent story, like told with a lot of lore and stuff. But a lot of people seem to really like it. So if you're into that like dark fairy tale stuff, you'll probably dig this. And there's also, like I hinted towards, but I don't want to talk about too much, there's hint to potential sequels might possibly be exploring other fairy tales, which I think would actually be pretty cool if they did that. Let's see, Souls-likes, dark fairy tales. My hard recommendation, if you're somebody who's worried about skill and difficulty in Souls-likes, this is the Souls-like for you. You should try this because it's not anywhere near as hard. I don't think they really tried to make it super hard. There's a couple bosses that are rough. Like I said, I died on a couple of them, but for the most part, it's just kind of like a fun action game that's strictly built like a Souls-like
Also, the
game.
fact that your EXP doesn't disappear after your death, it just depletes a little bit, is super forgiving.
It's super forgiving. The game has a lot of like little systems that just kind of streamline the process of what a From Software game doesn't give a fuck enough to do for you. They don't want to do that for you. So, yeah, I would recommend it to you. And with that recommendation, with that caveat, if you like action games, maybe you're turned off by Souls-likes, you should still play this because it just kind of feels like an action game. Just it has those strict Souls-like, rule sets, but it's just like a fun action game. So check that out. And then also, if you like builds, this has some build potential. Not super deep, like some ARPG or something like that, but like you get to tinker around with stuff a little more than I expect from games like this. So definitely check that out. And then the last two recommendations. This goes with Souls-likes, but just boss fights. If you like boss fights in games, Monster Hunter, anything where you're trying to find a boss and fight it, it's this big spectacle. This game's going to give that to you. And also, if you like collecting shit, this game is just full of stuff to find. So yeah, I think those are my recommendations. Okay, anything else?
Other than the dark fantasy thing I said, no.
Okay. And then you went first? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to grade it. I'm going to give this a really strong... I'm teeter-tottering. I'm going to give it a strong A-. I think it's completely solid. All my complaints is what drops it down to the A-. So that's how not big of a deal they are, but they are substantial enough because I kind of wanted to give it an A. I think it's a really good game, but there's a couple things about it that I'm just like not super in love with. But it's just like they had the task of making a Souls-like that people are gonna want to play, and not just feel like they're playing it because it's a clone, but actually has its own things going on with it, and I think they nailed it. So, which is kind of hard to do because a lot of Souls-likes are like kind of fucking vacant, like just like really bad attempts at just copying something, and this actually has its own thing going on. So it's kind of rare. So yeah, A-.
I am in agreement. I also think it's an A- game, even though on a personal level, like it's fine. I like looking at the product itself and the way it plays and stuff like that. I think it's a very solid game. Definitely have room to improve, which is, always, you should always be striving for that anyways. But I think they will make a better game after this too. So,
well, people are saying the Overture DLC is better than the base game.
Yeah, which is great, right? So, yeah, I think it's a quality game. And if you're, anything we said, kind of stood out to you and it sounds interesting, it's quality. So
yeah, they did a really good job for. I think this is their first game or their first major AAA game.
I'm not sure,
but I think they did a really good job on it. There's a couple things about it I can kind of tell they haven't really done this before, but I do hope they make a sequel, though. One thing I would like to see in a sequel is multiplayer. I know you don't have to do that in these kind of games, but a lot of them do have multiplayer, which is kind of weird, and I would like to see this have it because I think it'd be a lot of fun. You can already bring in a Spectre or whatever when you do boss fights.
I did on the third boss just to try it out.
Yeah, so... I have like 95 of those things you got to drop in there. So it'd be really cool to see in a sequel some kind of multiplayer component. And it'd be cool if it was like seamless, no bullshit co-op like Lords of the Fallen does. That'd be fucking awesome. Because the game's not hard, so it doesn't need to be like, strict about, you can't play for too long together. So
yeah.
So A- to A-. We both think it's a quality Souls-like.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Lies of P. I've seen a couple people call it Lies of Peak. If you didn't play it, why didn't you play it? If you have played it, what do you think of it? What do you think it stacks when it comes to Souls-likes? Do you have any complaints about it like me? Or do you just think it's amazing? If you're somebody who calls it Bloodborne 2, why do you call it that? I'm curious about that. And what's your favorite weapons you found so far? Favorite arm you like to use? I use the cannon. I really fucking had to stop myself from using it because it's just too useful. But this playthrough I'm doing right now, I'm using the shield, and it's actually a lot of fun. And yeah, tell me your general thoughts about Lies of P and all the games that we talked about in this Plus Club. That's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for joining me for this conversation, Chevy. It was a long one, but probably good. We haven't done long forms, so we did an extra long form. And thank you guys for hanging out. Stay tuned. We will have Game of the Month coming out where we'll be talking about Titan Quest 2. We We've been playing the early access of that. Hopefully we can beat what is available in the early build, and we can talk about that tomorrow. But until then, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.